Hello, crafters. This is Yana Smakula for SimonsSTM.com. Welcome back for another Yippee for Yana episode. What do you do on the inside of your cards? Truth be told, I rarely do anything and I just keep it boring blank. But this time I challenged myself to continue the card design from the front to the inside of my card. I hope you'll join me and create a card with a simple design repeated on the card inside. Here I have the circle masks from Simon Says Stamp. I'm going to use one of the masks to ink blend a sun on my card. I have a panel of Neenah Solar White cardstock. This is 80 pound, and the circle I picked is just slightly smaller than my panel. I also have a set of stencils called Horizon Lines, and I think that this is an absolutely brilliant stencil set. I love to see stencils designed like this because they're very easy to use. And if you haven't seen or used this type of stencil, you'll see what I mean in just a minute when I start using it. I taped the circle stencil in place and I'm going to ink blend the sun using 3 colors of ink from Simon. I want the sun to be orange. The color combo for this card is blue and orange, and of course white and black. And I love this color combination. It is very, very striking. The colors I have are cantaloupe, sherbet, and mandarin. I'm double checking and consulting my ink chart with the Simon Says Stamp inks to make sure that these ink colors are going to look great when combined together, and I think that they will. I'm using these Simon Says Stamp large blending brushes here. I love blending with these brushes. The various sizes make it very easy to blend, all kinds of images and all kinds of backgrounds. And here, since this circle is pretty large, the large blending brush works wonderfully. I'm blending the color coming in from the bottom left corner and fading into the top right corner. Next, I'm going to use the Horizon Line stencil, and this stencil has a brilliant design. You can simply slide your cardstock panel into or between the sections that you want to ink blend, and you not only have the stencil, but you also have the mask to protect the area that you have either already blended or are, planning to blend in the future. You'll see me do that as I get to blend the second and the third sections. I'm using blue colors here, Galaxy, Twilight, and Morning, and I'm using just one color per section. So for the sun, I used 3 colors to have color variation. Here I have 3 sections and 3 different kinds of ink, so 1 ink color per section. And I'm blending a solid layer of color, so there's no variation, no fading, no gradient, just solid color application. So I first do the bottom section and I ink blend it in the darkest color. Next, I wipe my stencil clean. I do this to prevent having my inky fingers, as I know I'll end up leaving an inky fingerprint on my panel. So cleaning is very important when working with ink and doing ink blending. I slid my panel into the stencil and now I'm ready to ink blend the second section. The section I have just ink blended is protected, and I love this about this stencil. So I now have a simple section to ink blend, and I don't have to worry about ink getting onto other areas. Now, I decided I needed to use a smaller brush here as I was first planning to do directional ink blending. I wanted to see if I could do that, but I later changed my mind and I did solid layer of color just like I did on the first section. Once again, I cleaned my desk and I cleaned my stencil and I repositioned the panel, and now I have the third section ready for the ink blending. The 2 bottom sections are protected, and so is the area above the open section that I'm about to blend. I blended the last section using the lightest ink color and I love the result. Now here's a look at this panel. The blending is almost perfect. I do have one area that I missed, so I'm going to go back and add some more ink so that I don't have any white on my panel between the blue sections, and I love it. Next, I use a rectangle die and I trim my panel down in my die cutting machine. I didn't want it to be this large, so I simply cut it down using a die. You can also use your paper trimmer. Next, I used my Mini Misty stamping tool and I stamped the sentiment in the center of the sun. I was going for a snarky card and my sentiment reads, "The hours I spent on this card simply pale in comparison to how much I spent on the supplies to create it." This stamp is from Kathy Zilski, and she is the master of unique and snarky sentiments. I love them. I stamped this in VersaFine Onyx Black ink to have nice black contrast. Next, I stamped a bunch of bird silhouettes, and these birds come from two different stamp sets from Simon, and these happen to be among my favorites. I keep going back to these sets again and again, and these are the Seas and Greetings and the Your Light sets. So you'll have one bird's larger birds from the Seas and Greetings and smaller birds from the Your Light set. Next, I foam mounted my panel onto an A2 card base. I used black fun foam. I typically use white, but I'm all out of white, so black it is for this card. Now let's talk about the inside of the card. Typically, the inside is left blank. This time, I challenged myself to repeat the card design on the inside, and I ink blended an identical panel. It was very easy to do. This ink blending is not hard to replicate. It was quick and easy. I stamped a different sentiment, however. This one reads, "Hugs, you're literally my favorite," and I adhered this panel on the inside of my card, and I absolutely love the result. So I challenge you to continue your card design from the front to the inside of the card and create a card using stencils and ink blending. Thanks so much for spending time with me today. Love you guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye!